call it to order. The first thing I will do, in fact, is ask Kate Burns if she will do the invocation, and we'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. O Lord our God, source of wisdom, refuge of the weary, bringer of light into dark places, may you be present here as the leaders of our community meet to conduct the business that is set before them. Theirs is honorable work, but oftentimes challenging. So guide their discussions. Let their minds and hearts be in accord, that our city and its residents be well served. And so, O Lord, we pray that you strengthen them in their resolve to do good work, to benefit all. And Lord, may the road rise up to meet them. May the wind be always at their back. May the sun shine warm upon their face. The rains fall soft upon their fields. And until we meet again, may God hold them in the palm of his hand. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Here.
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 Here. Here.
Here.
We have a quorum. The first item on the agenda is open forum. Anybody wishing to speak to the council, please step forward, state your name and the city in which you live. As there is no one this evening, the next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Laura Kildy had asked for item number 6 to be pulled off the consent agenda, and Mark had asked for the item 3, 5, and 6 to be pulled off the agenda. And is there anything else on the agenda? And Al wishes to add an update on Roy Z property purchase and naming rights of something. Would somebody care to make that?
I'll offer that.
Thank you, Laurel.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Hearing none, the agenda is approved. There are no public hearings this evening, there are no bids to award, and there are no petitions and communications. The consent agenda is now down to a motion approving the minutes from the March 2nd, 2026 City Council meeting and the March 11, 2026 Committee of the Whole. The motion approving the licenses and a resolution authorizing the submission of a drinking water state revolving fund grant application to fund phase 1 of the lead service line replacement project. Would somebody care to make that resolution?
I'll offer that.
Thank you, Scott. Would somebody care to second that?
Second.
Thank you, Al. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
The resolution is approved. The first item on the consent agenda is a resolution authorizing the submission of an LCCMR grant application for a multi-use recreational facility at the Pebble Lake Golf Course. Mark, that's over to you.
Thank you for accommodating me this evening. I'd like to hear more a little bit about the application. We discussed it in the past. What obligations the city will end up with once we have it, and the time frame to spend the money. I guess just a little more information on the benefits and maybe some of the hidden factors of this grant.
Yep, sure.
Yeah, I'm happy to try to address some of those questions. I'm not entirely sure what you mean by hidden hidden issues with the grant. So if you have some specific questions that you want answered, I will try to answer those. But the application that we're making is for the design and construction of a multi-use recreational facility on city-owned property, which is at the golf course. The facility would be used to house a rental program for outdoor equipment, et cetera. The idea is to be increasing use of the golf course throughout months when it's generally not open. So winter months in particular, things like snowshoeing, skating, cross-country skiing, et cetera. So kind of building on some programs and partnerships that we already have in the community, specifically related to cross-country skiing, using some machinery that we already have to do things like build trails, renting out equipment for outdoor use, and as a reminder, I guess, to what you are agreeing to, if you do submit an application, the resolution that is in your packet, the draft language does state that you are agreeing that you will accept the funds that are coming from the state of Minnesota through the legislative process, and you are upholding your end of the grant. So you are building what you say that you are going to build. So that is what we are agreeing to if we choose to go forward with the submission. What we are getting then is money appropriated through the legislature for specific projects through the LCCMR program. In this case, we're applying again for outdoor recreational multi-use facilities so that we are encouraging outdoor recreation here in the city of Fergus Falls. Is that kind of helping to answer some of your questions?
Yeah, Mrs. Beck, that does. Thank you. Who ultimately then will design it?
We are applying as the city of Fergus Falls, so the city of Fergus Falls would be in the leading role on design and construction.
And is the design necessary before the application or upon the grant?
We're including it as part of our application, that we will do the design process. So no, the design will not be done before we submit.
Okay. I didn't want to be, ahead of the golf club and ahead of the city council designing a course facility to accommodate the grant. Are there any other obligations that the city would have? That's what I mean by the hidden factors. Other than it being built per specs and as we've applied for, the monies can be spent, and is there a time frame that money needs to be spent?
Yeah, generally legislatively approved money, I think, has about a 5-year time frame. So we could not start spending money before 2027. So this project cannot start before July 1st, 2027, or before it's accepted by the legislature. But those are the dates that are given in the process itself.
I can't speak for the golf club nor the council, but that seems appropriate. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done. I like the idea that it starts in 27 and we got 5 years to do something, because it's a big project and it needs to be planned properly. Once the monies are spent, what kind of match?
So this is a capital construction grant that we're requesting. There is a required 25% match. I think what we've discussed internally and with outside partners is that we are likely aiming to hit that 50% match threshold.
Is that in the grant, or are we going to stick to the 25?
It's not specifically referenced, but what you're saying in your resolution is that you will provide that match.
25.
You will provide the required match. Yeah, the language is, accept the award, enter into the agreement, all applicable laws, and that we can have, that we have the financial capability to ensure adequate operation and maintenance. So it's all in there as part of your agreement with the LCCMR program.
Yeah, it would be nice to have a clarification if the obligations by grant match is 25 or 50%. Obviously, 25 is much easier to gain.
The required match by the grant is 25%. Again, what we've discussed internally is that we would like to hit that 50%. So 50% coming through state funding, 50% through local sources.
Scott?
I think the piece of that puzzle is that local sources wouldn't necessarily be all city funding. It could come
Correct.
from other sources. One other piece that is probably helpful just to point out is among the many uses that you listed with outdoor activities in the winter, the assumption, I believe, is that this new building would replace the existing golf course clubhouse. That's the way that I understand it. Is that correct?
Yep, I would say that's correct.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Mrs. Beck, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the ability of the city and staff to go looking and working to get this grant with it. The two things that I think the citizens of this community should know is that if we do go forward to get this grant, and correct me if I'm wrong, once that money is set aside for us, we are committed to spend that money. Is that correct? Or is there any back door that we return that back, something happens? But otherwise, we're committed to that plus 25%, so we're committed to the $3 million for our community. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say that that is an accurate assessment.
Okay, and then the other thing it talks about this is kind of a reimbursable type grant, so we have to have some of our money up front first to pay for it, take care of it. Is that kind of a general fund thing, or do we not know where that'll come from today, or where does that come from, I guess?
I'll let Bill answer.
Yeah, we would run that like our other capital projects where we would spend that out of the capital project fund. In essence, we'd upfront the money and carry that. You'd run actually a project into a deficit cash balance, but we have cash over here that would, help keep it. We'd be afloat in the checking account with it. And then, we would submit grant reimbursements to get reimbursed. It's typically how all our projects have worked. There's just maybe a few if we use state construction aid that we get a upfront portion, but I'd say, and Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, but probably 80-90% of projects are usually cost reimbursement like this. So it would be our standard procedure. So
Good. I appreciate that. Two more things. One is the LCCMR, and I know Mrs. Beck is more familiar with them on that end. And in the committee of the whole, I kind of asked, what was the catch? Because what they say they have interest in is to help maintain and enhance Minnesota's environment, natural resources, safeguard Minnesota's air, water, land, and wildlife. What's this going to do, or is there anything in the paperwork of this that will control part of what we have out there as an asset? Do we know? Are we going to be limited to the amount of trees we cut? Or we're limited to different things? Is there anything that will come back later on us as an entity to run that golf course that we'll be not happy about that you know of?
Yeah, no, not that I know of. A grant agreement generally doesn't go into minutia like that, tree control, things like that. However, we are writing an application to a program that has very specific goals and aims, and we are going to write our project to try to match those goals and aims the best that we can. So in this case, you'll note I'm not referring to it as a golf clubhouse. I'm talking about it as a multi-use recreational facility, because that's what this grant program is looking for. They're looking for ways to be getting people in Minnesota out enjoying nature, and so that's what our ultimate goal is going to be through this grant project.
And I think it would be fair to say there are no, if we go for it as a golf course, then we're dead in the water. I mean, so if the golf club wishes to have a new clubhouse and they want the city to contribute to it, then the citizens of Fergus Falls will be paying that bill. This is an opportunity to apply for a grant to get some money to fund a building that has greater use than just a golf clubhouse, and therefore, the partners in this are obviously have stated that they would cover the match.
And I appreciate that, Your Honor. One last question I have is, as we look at this building, I'm thinking a $3-4 million building is quite substantial to what we have out there at this time. We have a pretty razor-thin margin of profit on that ability. Are we hopeful that the extra winter activities, the extra rentals, the extra things will offset some of the costs to run this building or do that? Or are we setting aside something different from Mr. Sonmore's end that says, hey, this thing's going to cost 50% more to run 12 months out of the year? Do we know that, or have we thought of that yet, or went down that route?
I don't have a lot to say about that, but as we have met with the golf board and looking at that, there are needs for operating that building. We haven't talked specifically as far as getting a multi-use building, would we actually make anything on that to help offset? Now, hopefully we'd cover, heat and utilities, things like that. But we haven't delved into any of that. As far as in general out there, I know under the current use with the golf board, more funding is probably needed, is what they've looked at for operating the buildings and maintaining, equipment, things like that. So don't be surprised if something comes in the future of saying, we'd like to see more help from the city on that. We've kept that pretty stable over the years. Not much growth at all. And of course, with inflationary costs, that's kind of what they've looked at. So,
Bill, would there be the restaurant in there then year-round?
someone else help me with that. Did we talk about, I don't know if we really know. I mean, I think it would be a hope, but
Yeah, these are. So we're at a point in the process where long-term partnerships with groups maybe outside the golf board are not set in stone at this point. But I think from the city perspective, the hope would be that we could find some kind of a tenant or long-term user in that restaurant space who would be open year-round.
Has anyone talked to Palmer's about it?
And the golf board had, and Palmer's were not interested.
To go year-round?
Correct.
Wow. I think that's going to be a pretty key item to have something like that year-round out
But I
there.
think maybe if it was like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or kind of Friday, Saturday, Sunday type of thing, I think if it was focused on the potential time of use as opposed to kind of trying to be open 7 days of the week in the winter.
I just want to, just a question. You know, you talked about rental things like skis and skates. Now, let's say if they were skates, does that mean that we were going to clean off part of Pebble Lake and that's where the skating would be, or?
Well, what we talked about on Wednesday morning is having some sort of an outdoor rink, potentially something with a cement bottom that could also be used for a roller rink when it's not winter. We haven't sat down with Kyle yet to really go through what costs could look like for some of these things, but yeah, if we're gonna have, if we're gonna offer more outdoor recreation, I think we should consider things like an outdoor rink.
I appreciate your time, Mrs. Beck, and I appreciate this project, and I'd like to see this go through. I'd like to see us get the grant. I'd like to see us do this for the golf course in the community if we can going forward. Those couple things that I talked about was, what does it cost to fund this 5-10 years down the road? I just like staff to be kind of thinking about that as we go forward with this, because the only thing that concerns me, and I'm not a grant person, is once we hit on hit the send button and they come back with this, we're committed to this. So I just want to make sure there's nothing that is major surprise that comes back to the taxpayers on that, the maintenance end of it as it goes forward. That's it.
All right, with that, would somebody care to make the resolution?
I'll offer that.
Thank you, Laurel.
I'll second.
Thank you, Scott. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 The resolution is approved. The next item on the agenda is a resolution approving change order number 2 in the amount of $3,138 for PI 5367, the Trunk Highway 210 Utility Relocation Project. Mark, you had a question on that?
Yeah, I would like to see, I guess, just hear a little explanation on it, Kyle.
You bet. Okay, so this change order, in talking to Alex over at Interstate Engineering, when Flatland Excavating, who's the contractor that was doing the work, they were installing sanitary sewer. 10 feet or so in the ground. When they were installing this new sewer, they ran into wet soil, high groundwater table in this spot. And so they typically, when we lay pipe, we put a bedding material under it to hold the pipe up. And normally we use sand to bed the pipe. In this area, because it was wet, they tried to lay the pipe. It was too wet, so the pipe settled too much, and we don't allow that. So they dug it up, tried it again, didn't work. So they had to use a different material. They had to put rock in this location to install it, to keep that grade up and keep it keep it level. So that was an additional cost from the contractor, so they came to Interstate and asked for the city to pay for that cost to put that material underneath the bedding, so we have a good stable bedding underneath the pipe.
Is sand the normal?
Sand is normal, yep.
Wow. You know, all the pipe I've seen laid, it's always got the P-rock as a base.
P-rock, basically, when we use P-rock, that's when we're putting it, you know, shallow bury or drain tile type pipe, because we want the water to seep through the P-rock to get to the drain tile to get under it. That's typically what we use that. So if you're seeing that like around your buildings, underneath your parking lots, we do use P-rock for that. But normally when we're doing underground water main, sewer main, that's typically bedded in sand.
And they're going to put in what again? The change order?
Wash sewer rock.
They put in rock.
Yeah.
Yep.
They just ran
Because
into
then that
stuff
goes in the water, and that gets hardened and gives a nice concrete foundation for that.
And you've inspected it, you believe they went far enough east and west or north and south?
Interstate inspected it.
Okay.
I did not.
Okay. I'm sensitive to these change orders, but for $3,000 we've,
Yep, I
Yeah.
understand. Moving forward, we won't have this issue. In our plans and specs, we do put in there that the contractor is responsible for any type of bedding, no matter what it is. So we won't have those changes moving forward.
yeah. I kind of figured the contractor just throw the $3,000 at it and be happy, but I can understand where he's coming from.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Thank you, Mark. Would somebody
Thank
care
you,
to
Kyle.
second that?
Second.
Thank you, Al. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 The resolution is approved. The next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing Interstate Engineering to advertise for bids for a trail through the former dairy property. I think we got a bigger picture on the screen. Laurel?
I asked to have this pulled off. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for obliging on that. We've had a lot of citizens, or multiple citizens, I should say, in Ward 4 that are have adjoining property to this that have brought up this trail multiple times. And because this didn't go to a committee of the whole, I just thought we should have conversation so everyone knows what's going on. I think we need to clarify that the $534,000 is state money, not tax levy money from citizens of Fergus coming off of our levy. Some specific questions I have. This is kind of a trail to nowhere until we get those railroad crossings done, and I think we should talk about timeline on that. The width of the trail, some questions I have. Benches, are we going to have benches out there and trash receptacles? It's a large area, so we don't want littering out there. And then will there be snow removal, or will it be only a summertime trail?
Okay, yeah, let me touch on the funding first. So the funding for this project is coming from the state legislature. We got bonding dollars to purchase that property, put a trail in, put some park areas in, and do the rail crossing. So this is part of that. So that portion, $534,000 will be covered through that funding. Okay, so now touching on the trail, where we have it now is, as you can see here, on St. Andrews. This is St. Andrews Street on the east side, and then we'll have just off the page here is, or excuse me, Broadway on this side and St. Andrews on this side, just off of the sheet. And then Barefoot Park is right down here on the south side of the railroad tracks. So right now, the design for this piece of the project is to start down south of the tracks, and we spaced it south of the tracks so that when we design the street in the future, that we'll be able to do that, finish the trail at that time. We didn't want to go further to the north with the trail today and then it be in the way in the future, because we have not designed the road coming through there yet. So we're doing that, and then we've designed it well short of the tracks over here, because today the city owns a piece of property on the north side of the tracks to the, it would be the east of St. Andrews, and depending on how we fit that road in there, east or west, we'll decide then how our street and the trail goes up and crosses. So we've left it back to be able to design that in the future with the road. We did talk about adding some benches along the trail here. I think we were going to include that in the bid as a alternate. I haven't seen the total final package after we talked about that yet with Interstate, but there's potentially going to be some park benches in there to look out.
I think they might actually be showing on here, Kyle. There's little tiny squares.
I was trying to figure that out. I think they could
Some
be.
that are
One
north
there.
and some south of the trail. Yeah,
One there,
there's about a half dozen of them.
one there. We
Is that
talked
what
about
those
it,
are?
putting them in locations, higher spots along the trail, so when you're looking to the south, you can maybe sit down and look over the river a little bit, see?
So then are we thinking there'll be some plan for trash down there, and then is there going to be snow removal, and how wide is the path?
The path is a 10-foot wide path. It'll be asphalt, so it's a wider biking path, what I would call it. And as far as snow removal,
I would say yes.
I would,
Yeah. Okay.
Once it's connected.
Right.
yeah.
We're not going to still
No.
remove it while it's not a complete trail.
And from a timing standpoint on the railroad crossings, we're working with a company called Benish, who is the engineering firm working for the railroad. We're getting them a drawing. Shortly after that, we're going to have what we call a diagnostic meeting where all entities involved, the city, MnDOT, Benish, the railroad, we're going to go meet at these sites and determine exactly what the crossings will be and look like, where will the arms be, what lights will be there, and that type of stuff. So we'll determine that at that time. Once we know that and agree to that, then they start designing, and then we can bid it. And as far as timing goes, we're working with the railroad. It takes a while.
How much are those benches? Do you know? what
I
the-
don't know.
Okay.
No.
The thought process was that we would see, obviously after the bid came in on the rail crossings, we got $4 million from the state of Minnesota. Obviously 1.2 of that has gone from the city to the Port Authority to pay for the land. The trail itself is basically following pretty much the border of the land. That's south of that to the river is owned by the city, north of that is owned by the Port Authority. And basically we figured we'd put the benches in when we see what money we've got left.
The other thing too is what I'd like to see is, maybe some type of get others involved with this. Get some of the service groups, maybe they want to donate a bench or something like that. That's what I would like to see. Get people with skin in the game, because that's going to just draw more attention to the whole project. They're going to feel part of it, and I think that would be a wise idea. If we could get more people, the better, involved with it.
Scott?
Just as a clarification, again, the description that's in the packet says the project will build a walking trail through the dairy property south of the road tracks. And as this has been talked about over the last couple of years, there was concern about just exactly where it went. And I think it's clear that you show it is traveling along the river side of this lot and following kind of the perimeter of the river, and it's not following the railroad tracks.
Correct.
Yeah.
In the location of where it's at does follow topography, so we pushed it as south as far as we could go. If we go any further south, it really starts getting steep, and so we're kind of at the top of where the topography allows us to be out there.
So has this gone to drawing? Other than this, any specs?
Yes, there is. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. There's plan sheets and specifications that go along with it. Yep.
My concern on
Mr.
asphalt,
Mayor?
over time, it goes bad, and I really don't know the difference, if you were, and I don't even want to say this out loud, but the difference between the asphalt base or cement. I mean, we're talking 1 to 4.
Definitely more expensive to
Yeah.
put in concrete for sure.
Because the bedding, asphalt just starts to buckle and trees grow through it, and et cetera.
Sure.
I trust that you've got the design well mapped.
Al?
If we may, or I don't know if it'd be allowable or not, but, I'd like to hear Mr. Cookman's thoughts on some of this. That's where he lives. Is there any way that, could Dwayne say something? Do you have any thoughts, Dwayne? What do you think of this?
Well, I know to the west of it over there, right where the.
Would you come to the mic, Dwayne?
Dwayne Cookman, Fergus Falls. I live on Stanton Avenue. And with this print and layout to the way to the west side there, I know that there's a bay and it's really shallow. You're going to be building that up?
Nope, we're not going to touch it because it's a really big bay. And I walked out there last week, and luckily I took Onyx and I went so I could see exactly where the property line was, and we'll be able to get across before we go through that drainage ditch. The trail in crossing would be prior to going across that bay that's over there. There's some storm sewer that crosses the railroad tracks, dumps in there. It's a big cutout. We want to avoid that.
Another item is where to the east where the trail ends, I know that there's a big culvert there. I don't know if it's drain sewer or whatever, but that, if you plan on moving that as well as you put the road in, okay, let's say you put the road between the tracks and the east end of that trail. How much you need for the road right away, parking and making that turn, because it doesn't appear to be a lot.
Yeah, I've seen the storm sewer there. We haven't designed it yet, but we'll take all that into account. Yeah, for sure.
That's the reason that it's a long way short of because accommodating that turn, as you say, with the available land this side of the track is going to be tight.
Yeah, storm sewer is about in this location right here.
Because there's probably, storm sewer is about right there. You don't have a lot of room. You have that old road that was here, but I don't know because that goes directly down to the river.
Correct. Yep.
Then would somebody care to make the resolution?
I'll offer that.
Thank you, Laurel. Would somebody care to second it?
I'll second.
Thank you, Scott. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
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 The resolution is approved. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the second reading of Ordinance 77, 8th Series, Boards and Commissions. This was kind of adjustments and obviously removal of and combining of the natural resources and bike and ped in park and removing the other one. Yep. Public safety. Thank you. Couldn't remember. Getting old. It's roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
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 The resolution is approved. The next item on the agenda is presentation of claims in the amount of $1,149,106. Would somebody care to make that resolution?
I'll offer that.
Thank you, Laura. Would somebody care to second it?
Second.
Thank you, Laurel. Any questions to Bill?
Your
If
Honor.
not,
Yeah.
yep.
Bill and I have had some great conversations in regards to the council being able to get into the budget.
Mark, this is a resolution to approve this.
I'm
It's not
looking-
about
Yep, all right.
access.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank
Sorry.
you. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 The resolution is approved. The next item on the agenda is Al Kramer wanted to talk about Roy Z update.
Yeah, I guess some questions have been coming up. Where are we at with the cannabis property out by the liquor store?
I've been in contact with his attorney recently. His attorney and I just need to just find some time to sit down and go through the proposed purchase agreement that I've drafted, make sure that we're all on the same page and see if there's any edits that they would like to be made. But it's just, we're at a point now, it's just the two attorneys need to kind of figure out some time to talk.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Does Roy's want to move forward after this if you come to an agreement, or is there a time frame?
Sounds like it.
Okay, thank you.
Otherwise, I don't think he would continue to spend money on an attorney. So,
Then the next item is naming rights, Al.
Yeah, and that was brought up quite a while ago. I'd like to, kind of experiment and kind of dive into something as trying to get some naming rights out there for some of these attractions throughout town, and to create some goodwill and revenue for the city, and goodwill for those who are going to be doing that. Any thoughts on that? Any ways that anybody have any suggestions that they would like to see, or any amounts?
I think it needs somebody to lead it, which probably would be better if it would be somebody like you that knows people in town that could actually make those contacts.
A lot of the people I know are no longer with us.
Well, that's might be a good time to talk to them.
Yeah. I just think that it would be, I want to see a revitalization. I really do, especially this year, you guys. Here we're celebrating our 250th as a nation, and I'd like to see some new things come through, and this would be one of them. Also, too, when somebody has their name on something, or a business does, or some type of individual, they're probably going to go that extra mile to really keep that up too, to kind of support it and to make it succeed. And so I would really like to see something like that. And, I would be very well happy to help out with that, along with anything else that we can do for our city to brighten it up a little bit and to move forward.
Thank you, Your Honor. I agree with Councilman Krameyer. The naming rights have been mentioned initially by Councilman Mortensen some 12, 14 months ago. So any assistance I can get, or we can get from the mayor or the administration to move on this, I'm strongly in favor of it. We've tried to review the 26 schedule of fees and naming rights, and it's kind of dead in the water.
I think maybe yourself, Mike, and Al would form a committee and actually look at it to see how it could get done.
We're just going to do it. Go ahead, Mr. Mortensen.
No, I'm honored to be on that.
No, I think
yeah.
it's about knowing people, and staff. It's probably better that staff aren't involved, because things that do get named like now, the city ends up actually looking after. So if you go around the city and you look at all the parks that have a name on it, it's very, very kind of people to give money, but that obligation then becomes that of the city to maintain. So every park that's pretty much got a name on it, somebody very generously donated it to the people of Fergus Falls, but the rest of the people of Fergus Falls then end up having to pay the maintenance cost of that particular whatever it is. So, it's a double-edged sword in terms of, how that naming right, probably contract or obligation gets written.
Yeah, and I think that what we're looking at is things like the splash pad, the pool, whatever, these larger things that are already there.
Yeah.
It's no different than having a Target Stadium.
Yeah.
Same idea. It's already there. Hey, they're just going to put their name on it.
Yeah, and help
pay for it.
And help defray some of the.
Yep, and then the people
costs.
of the city can be very thankful for those people who are doing that, because it might cut their pool fees down, or it might cut different things down.
Yep.
And, hey, then everybody's happy.
Yep, no.
Appreciate it, Your Honor. I'd love to be part of that committee to try to work with our local businesses to do some of that. Question for Mr. Taylor. Did you guys through the Parks Department have kind of something set up, kind of a template you were looking at with naming rights, or was that something I just kind of heard maybe 6 months ago or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was discussed at the park board, and what we came up with there was sponsorships, and that we just talked through, and we're actually selling a lot of banner sponsorships for the pool, none for the splash pad per se. I don't know actually where we'd put any banners at the splash pad, but the pool specifically, we're looking to put quite a few up there this season.
Okay, good. If we could, with the mayor and administrator's permission, we'd like to work with you and see kind of what you've got going on that end, so we don't trip over some of the sponsorship stuff. I think what we're looking for, at least I don't want to speak for the other two, is we're looking for a bigger type of long-term, 10, 15-year naming rights for a facility. And then I'd like to make sure that we work with Mr. Nicomo so we don't overstep our bounds of what we can do and can't do on that end as well.
And I should say, we talked about this as being advertising, not sponsorships, because we can sell advertising, but we can't raise money for sponsorships.
Okay, good.
We would have an agreement in place for larger
Yeah.
matters, and you're going to have to think about duration of this agreement and the anticipated expected
Yeah.
money that you feel would be appropriate. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, there would be an agreement for a
Yeah.
long-term sponsor of a plaque or whatever it might be.
Your Honor, the pool was mentioned. Can I ask a quick pool question? I got asked, and I was going to ask you after the meeting, but it might do good to do this while we're televised. Can people buy pool passes for Easter baskets at this time? And how do they go about doing so? Or punch cards?
Yeah, pool passes can be purchased at any time.
And how do
Yep.
they go about doing that?
You can do it online.
Online, okay.
Yep.
Or
On the city.
up at the arena too, if they want to go in person? Park and Rec, okay.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, at the arena.
Any other discussion on that topic? So, it's no new business, or there was kind of thing, I suppose. Miscellaneous announcements, 7 o'clock Committee of the Whole meeting on April 1st, Fool's Day, April the 3rd. Most city offices and buildings will be closed in observation of Good Friday. The liquor store will be open. Garbage and recycling normally picked up on Thursday will be picked up on Wednesday, and Friday's collection will be picked up on Thursday, April the 2nd. Next council meeting is here, April the 6th at 5:30. And then on Friday, the Historical Society is going to have some event where yours truly will be moderating at 10 o'clock at the Historical Society. And for those that haven't seen the Facebook post, obviously Chris Schulke is retiring from the Historical Society, and there will be a retirement party for him on April the 10th at the Eagles at 5 o'clock. So,
I was just corrected by Pam. The passes will be available along with all registrations starting April 1st.
April 1st, thank you.
so
Is that a joke?
with that, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.